Hello, so this is my design matrix. I picked 5 different seating areas. The first one is a chair that's located in my apartment, and then the second one is just a random chair that I found outside. Third one is a chair within the restaurant, and the fourth chair is the outdoor seating of a different restaurant, and then the fifth is just a bench-like seating that's in an ice cream shop. So the first thing that I rated is the comfortability of these chairs. This is based off of just me sitting on them and figuring out how comfortable they are. I noticed that the chair in the middle, the third seating area was the most comfortable just because of the squishiness of the fabric. And then just going from there, the fourth was the least comfortable just because it was at a high elevation, so it was a bit difficult to get onto it itself, and the seating of it, the bottom area, wasn't exactly the most comfortable. And then looking at the cost, I figured out the cost of these based off of just looking up similar products, and then I rated them from there. So the first chair is about $200, the second chair is about $270, the third bench went out to $1,500, the fourth is somewhere in between $80 to $100, and then the fifth is at $300. And then just to reiterate, these are just estimations based off of similar products, so it could just be different of material or some other difference that could make the price just different itself. And then looking at the environmental impact of these products, I rated the first chair and the fourth chair a bit lower just because of the manufacturing process and because neither of these are biodegradable. And so the first chair, it has a high rubber and fabric usage, and the fourth chair has a foam usage as well, and same thing with that manufacturing process. And then the third chair, I rated it very low just because, again, it's also not biodegradable, but it also has faux leather in it, and that's not very environmentally friendly, and yeah, it's just not good for the environment. And then the second and fourth chair are rated decently high just because they're made out of just wood and no other materials from there. And then looking at the safety of it, I rated the first chair pretty low on safety just because when I sit on this chair, it rocks a lot, and when it leans back, it leans way too far back to the point where you're about to fall off of the chair. And then looking at the second chair, it is a bit low, so when you're going to sit down on it, you kind of do feel like you're falling. But overall, it's pretty safe just because of the arm stool or the armrests on the side, making sure it doesn't fall over or you fall over. And then looking at the third and the fifth, they're both very safe just because they have a lot of volume and area to cover. And then the fourth one is not very safe just because the center of gravity of it is pretty high since it is a high-topped chair, and it's very prone to tipping, again, just because it is high-topped. And then looking at the sustainability of these chairs, I rated the first one really low just because it's not biodegradable, and also going along with that long manufacturing process, which also isn't sustainable. And this was the same rating for the fourth chair as well. And then the third one is rated low as well, just because of that same process. I rated it a little bit higher than the other two, just because it seems to be like less material or less different materials going into it. And then the second and the fifth chair are rated pretty high, just because they're only wood, so it's not too bad. And then looking at the social impact, I decided to base my social impact on seeing how human-centered and how collaborative these seating areas are, also focusing on the accessibility and the sustainability of these. So the first chair is rated pretty low just because it's not very collaborative or human-centered, and it also goes back to the sustainability aspect of it, and the same thing goes for the fourth one. And then looking at the third and the second seating areas, they're rated pretty mid-range just because they're not the worst for conversing with people, but you're still not the best, there's room for improvement. And then I rated the last one really high just because of the way that it's shaped. It makes it really easy to talk to people, and it's also on a flat surface, so that makes it very accessible for like the human body, and it makes it good for it. And then looking at the function, all of these seating areas are very functional. They're just kind of just normal seating areas. I would say that the second one is the most functional, just because of the way that's kind of laid out, and it has the really nice armrests on the side, so it makes it easy to use. But that's, like, in my opinion, that's how it is. But the second and the fifth are also rated high, same way on the functionality, just because of the ease of it. And then looking at the aesthetics, I base these really heavily off of my personal opinion. I thought that the second chair was the most aesthetically pleasing. I think it was also just a mixture of the colors and the environment of it, but the shape of it as well is also really nice. And then the third, I thought that the color theme of it as well was really nice, and the feeling of the product was good as well, even though it wasn't exactly environmentally friendly or sustainable. But going with that, I really didn't find the first one to be aesthetically pleasing. It could also just be that I see it every day and it's in my apartment, but it's an okay product. I didn't really find it to be too aesthetically pleasing. And then looking at the fourth and the fifth, I thought that they were kind of around the mid-range of aesthetics. They're a pretty decent aesthetically standard, but yeah, that's the overall coverage of my design matrix. Thank you for listening.